Yes, YouTube is here as well. This is awesome. I want to thank everyone for your presences and for your commitment to the gratitude flow, to the collective gratitude flow. Powerful, very, very structural Cardinal Method system, I would say. It's really literally a tool that you have to start changing your life. So, when we talk about the fourth practice, week number 4, we're literally talking about a tipping point in the gratitude flow. So, hey, I want to thank everyone for being here. Hi, Todd. Hi, Karina. Hello, Jose. It's great. And the people on YouTube too. So wonderful to have you here. And if you're watching the recording, feel the love as well. It's great to see you. So, what happens with the fourth week, the fourth practice of the gratitude flow, it's that it's a threshold. Because up until now, we have been working on the deep unconscious mind. And now we're starting to, with the inner child practice, which is week number 4, and I'm going to start diving deeper into this soon. I just want you to understand that on a structure level, this is a tipping point. This is a portal. This is a rite of passage. You're going to start observing in your outer life and possibly in your inner world with small mental breakthroughs that ultimately lead to a shift in your manifested life, right? Because everything outside of you is a mirror image of your inner world. You're going to notice that after you do the fourth practice of the gratitude flow, as I said, up until now, we've been working on the deep unconscious mind, on the subconscious mind, which is the realm of the inner child, as the Cardinal Method sees it. And then when we reach this point and we do the practice, we will start observing throughout the week the shifts that are going to happen in our behavior, in our attitude in the world. And then we start creating a new life consciously. So, taking responsibility for our adult life. The thing about the inner child is that it hijacks our lives without us knowing it. Many of us have an inner child on the throne of his or her life. And we're so unaware of it. And the way you can notice when the inner child is in charge of your life subconsciously is if practical things in your life are kind of going downhill regarding your finances, for example, regarding anything that has to do with your survival, right? Because the inner child or any child does not have the resources to guarantee your survival. So, whenever we have issues with our finances, that is an inner child energy kind of invading that field. Because when we don't want to deal with money, when money feels frightening, when money feels like something I can't deal with, you delegate the money business or the money talk or anything that regards money to someone else. That shows that your inner child is wounded and that it needs to be looked at and seen. Because when we don't acknowledge and integrate any aspect of our psyches, it will show up in our outer life, right? So when we have issues with mature relationships, when we have issues with our friendships, when you surround yourself with problematic people, the inner child wound can go deep and it can invade many areas of our lives. So that's the reason why the book, Your Cardinal Connections, actually has 2 practices that address the inner child. One is in the gratitude flow in chapter 7, and the other is a whole chapter about it. Chapter 6 is all about the inner child. There's a specific practice called the inner child practice in this book. It's the cover of the book, so you know how powerful it is and important it is in the Cardinal Method. And you can do the inner child practice every day if you want to. And trust me, when you do it, it's going to shift your life. Right now, in the gratitude flow, we're going to address the inner child in one of the layers of consciousness, right? In one of the weeks, which is right now in week 4. And when you look at it, when you look at chapter 4, and I'll read you, it's really quick. It's just a very small affirmation. Not every practice in the gratitude flow has an affirmation, but this one does. Most of them do. The thing about the inner child is that it needs to be seen and acknowledged, first and foremost by you. And then when you own the pain of your inner child, you can start healing it. And we stop playing the blame game. One of the indications that show that you're healing your inner child is when you start taking responsibility for your emotions and for your relationships, and we stop playing the blame game. We stop thinking that other people are responsible for our happiness. And whatever has happened in our lives, we picked that person, right? But the wounded inner child may attract, like a magnetic force, that wounded inner child may attract painful situations. Because what happens is every child feels it all. The inner child is all about emotions and feelings. The child does not have the cognitive tools, the ability to understand pain. So, whenever we have emotional pain in our childhood up until age 7, we do not have any rational resources to understand what's going on. So, the child just reacts to that emotion and often reacts in a negative way, so to speak. And it just perpetuates that pain. It creates a vicious circle in the soul. So, in a nutshell, and this is deep, deep work, we would need, a whole 1 hour live session just to talk about the inner child. And that's not the purpose of this live session, right? This is to anchor the gratitude flow so that you can dive into the practice and allow it to ripple effect throughout the next 7 days. So, it's a 7-minute practice that unfolds and that is creating shifts in your life for 7 days. And then you do the next practice. It's a fractal that we're creating together. And just a parenthesis, if you just got here, we have other live sessions about the gratitude flow, the prior practices. Everything is on IGTV, on Instagram, and also here on YouTube if you're on YouTube watching this. So, what happens with the wounded inner child is that it doesn't have the resources or the tools to deal with emotional pain, number one. Number two, to survive that emotional pain, the inner child reacts emotionally and also believes that he or she needs to know how to deal with that situation all the time. They don't understand that it's a temporary situation. So we become frozen in that emotional moment. And then we have an inner child wound. And that inner child wound perpetuates itself in our adult lives. So if you feel a pattern in your life, if you notice that you keep having the same kind of unfortunate situation, maybe you keep recreating debt, maybe you keep recreating unfortunate romantic relationships, maybe you keep attracting the wrong friends, maybe you have issues with your living space, with the environment where you live in, whatever it is that seems like a chronic thing that you just cannot get rid of, investigate your inner child wound. And what is great about the Cardinal Method is that the theory behind it is monumental, but the practices are really straightforward, to the point, easy and simple, but nonetheless extremely powerful. You are going to notice when you do the inner child practice, which we're going to dive deep into now. I'm going to just show you how it works, and then everyone's going to do the practice on her own or his own, right? You will notice that the 7 minutes of the practice are going to be powerful, and that the 7 days that follow the fourth practice of the gratitude flow are also going to be full of shifts. As I said, from small mental breakthroughs of consciousness expansion to actual manifested change, transformation in your outer life. People will behave differently. Situations will not be as hard. You are going to notice a change in energy because we're doing the gratitude flow together. It's a collective gratitude flow. And whenever we have community involved, everything is exponentially more powerful, right? So thank you, people on YouTube, for liking the video. And those of you on Instagram, thank you also for liking it and for also spreading the word, right? And sharing the video. So, how do you heal the inner child wound? The inner child practice is one of the ways to do it. The inner child practice by itself in chapter 6 of this book, but also the fourth week, which is the one we're in now, is also powerful, but you can also dive deeper. And I have not yet seen anything more efficient to deal with the inner child wound than constellations. And we have specific ways to deal with the inner child with Cardinal Method constellations. And that's why we're holding Cardinal Method Week soon. So the link's in the bio for those of you who are interested on Instagram. You can go to our website as well if you're on YouTube to check out Cardinal Method Week. It's about constellations, how you can become a constellation facilitator and help people heal their inner child wounds. And especially the more we help other people with soul healing, the most benefited person in the story is, of course, your client, but you're also included in the healing. It ripple effects on you. It's huge for us. I changed careers for this very reason. I was a client that received so much healing, especially inner child healing, believe me, ancestral healing, healing with the family, and inner child healing, that I abandoned my academic career in the university. Not that it wasn't successful, it just wasn't as fulfilling as what I'm doing now. So, if you want to become a facilitator, a Cardinal Method Constellations facilitator, Cardinal Method Week is coming up, and it's directed specifically for this niche, right? For these people who feel the calling that they can become constellation facilitators. So, back to the inner child. How do you do the practice? Remember that if you're doing this right now for the very first time, you don't start in the fourth day, right? You start in the very first day. So the live sessions that explain it all are on IGTV and also on YouTube. But if you've been flowing with us since day one, it's your fourth week with us. What you're going to do is get your phone, and I'm actually going to answer a question that someone asked me. Oh, if I set the phone for 7 minutes, my timer for 7 minutes, it's not going to be exactly 7 minutes. And it's a little trick that I do with all Cardinal Method practices because I always use my phone to measure time. And the practices are kind of quick, actually pretty quick. 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes. In the gratitude flow, they are all 7-minute practices with affirmations, most of them. There is a silent one, but most of them have affirmations. So you're going to set your phone to 7 minutes, and I suggest you do it 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Because then with the 10 seconds, you have time to settle yourself and just relax, and you know that you're doing it for 7 minutes. And don't do it for more than 7 minutes. This is mathematical. It has been calculated and measured and researched for so many years. So this is actual energy science. So if you do it for more than 7 minutes, you're kind of breaking the fractal that we're creating together. So it's not about rigidity, it's about creating structure in a scientific way. So what are the non-negotiables? All of them are 7-minute practices. Use the same crystal in all practices for 7 weeks. This is going to be your companion. Whichever crystal you chose in the first day, keep that crystal with you throughout the 49 days, the 7 weeks of the gratitude flow. Don't change crystals. It will break the fractal energy. And I talk about fractals in live session number 1 in the gratitude flow if you haven't watched it. And the other thing is, always do it in the same weekday. So the day of the week is important, okay? It's related to the planets. Every day of the week is connected to a specific ray of creation. That's a whole other story. I may create a live session just to talk about that. But the point is, there is spiritual science behind every Cardinal Method practice and theory. So do not do this for more than 7 minutes or less than 7 minutes. It's not going to be as effective. Use the same crystal for all 7 weeks. Don't change crystals in between practices, and always do it in the same weekday. So if you're doing this on Sunday, like I am, and I know that a lot of you are doing this on Sundays, keep doing it on a Sunday. Don't change to Wednesday, right? Because it's going to be a different number of days, right? So please respect the numbers and the math and the geometry that we're creating together here. So how does it work? You're going to set your phone, as I said, to 7 minutes, maybe 7 minutes and 10 seconds just to get settled. Get the same crystal you've been using since you started the gratitude flow, and then place it in your hand, and then the other hand, one on top of the other, right below it, and connect your thumbs. This is a hand position called Mandala Mudra, and it connects your crown chakra to all the other chakras, and it just creates a higher vibrational frequency. So just rest your hands in Mandala Mudra with the crystal on your lap. And for 7 minutes, you're going to say the affirmation. It's an option to say it out loud or to say it mentally. I like to say it out loud. I like to engage my throat chakra and hear my voice, hypnotizing my cells. This is literally what it's all about. I'm telling you, since I was a teenager, I've always talked to my soul and my higher self and to the cells of my body, which are expressions of our souls, right? In its perfect state in the manifested world. So I like my cells to hear any kind of music and to listen to my voice stating what I want to create in my life. So it's the voice of your higher self making the affirmations. So in week number 4, what is the affirmation of the inner child? You're going to visualize yourself before you start doing the affirmations. You're going to visualize yourself as a child. I'm reading from the book just for this specific part of the live session. Visualize yourself as a child between the ages of 4 and 7 years old and repeat the affirmation. My inner child, I see you, I love you. So, why between 4 and 7? Because between 4 and 7, the cognitive mind, the intellectual mind, is not yet developed enough to be a rational mind, okay? An intellectual mind. It doesn't have abstract thoughts or concepts. So between ages 4 and 7, it's a transitional phase from being 100% emotion to becoming an expanded rational being. So between ages 4 and 7, that's when the inner child wound perpetuates itself. I'm not saying that's when the inner child wound was created. It could have been created in the womb. But between ages 4 and 7, the child feels the pain so vividly and doesn't know what to do about it that it finds a very primitive solution that freezes that pain and creates what we call rigid soul substance in the Cardinal Method. And that will create a vicious circle of pain because the inner child starts to react to that pain. That's why I mentioned patterns in your life that are not that pleasant: constant debt, chronic pain, um, problematic relationships, problematic friendships. It is coming from the inner child wound. It's like weeds in a garden. And then maybe you have weeds in this part of the garden and then in this part of the garden, and you would yank it out, but it always grows back. It's because it has the same root, and you have not yet found the root that's deep seated under the earth. When you find the root, those weeds are going to leave. They're not going to be there anymore. So often we have problems in different areas of life, and they're coming from the same root cause. And the inner child wound is possibly the greatest root cause of all your problems. This is the reason why, again, the book, Your Cardinal Connections, has one whole practice all about the inner child, which is actually the cover of the book. And also in the gratitude flow, there is a whole week dedicated to heal the inner child. So, again, going back to the practice, right? You are going to place your crystal on your hand. Oops, sorry. Mandala Mudra. Allow it to rest on your lap. You should be comfortable with this. Take deep breaths. Set the timer on your phone for 7 minutes and repeat the affirmation. My inner child, I see you. I love you. My inner child, I see you. I love you. My inner child, I see you. I love you for 7 minutes. When you say I see you, not just to the inner child, but to any human being, to any person, you already, just by acknowledging the existence of that person or of that aspect of your psyche, which is your inner child, you are already creating so much healing. A lot of our pain, a lot of our emotional pain comes from not being acknowledged and recognized. And maybe your inner child wound is exactly that wound, right? I was never seen. I was never acknowledged. I was always taken for granted. It could be that. There are other types of inner child wound, but it could be that. What I'm saying is that for 100% of us humans, belonging and being acknowledged is healing. So when you say, I see you, maybe your parents didn't see you. And now as an adult, we cannot expect as adults, right? We cannot expect our parents to heal our inner child anymore. It's up to us. We are the adults now. So we are the ones in charge of our inner child, right? So what I suggest you do is take responsibility for your inner child's wounds and know that you can heal those wounds. And when you say, I see you, I love you, you're healing your inner child immensely. You're going to feel a lot more well being in the cells of your body. It will be physical well being. It will be a different state of feeling and thinking and just existing in the world. It ripple effects throughout your week in a very powerful way. As I said, week 4 in the gratitude flow is a threshold. It is a portal to take a quantum leap into a whole other level of expansion. So keep repeating the affirmation for 7 minutes and just release it and allow it and surrender to the flow that's going to happen in the next 7 days. And we're going to see each other again next Sunday for the next live session for the 5th practice of the gratitude flow. And I'm really happy to see a lot of people giving me feedback and telling me how it's going with the gratitude flow. Lots of DMs, lots of emails. Thank you so much for your connection. And when we do this together as a group, as I said, it's so much stronger. It's exponentially stronger. And I do really appreciate your presences and your commitment to healing yourselves and to creating a vortex of light in the world, right? When we heal within, the whole planet benefits. So thank you so much for your presences here. Thank you, Danielle, Clarinha, Karini. This is great, Fabiana. Oh, this is lovely. I know some of you, not all of you. Hi, Katia, Germana, Curtis. Beautiful. Thank you for the ones who are here on YouTube as well. It's lovely to see you here. And don't forget to let us know how you're doing and to spread the word, right? Share this video with people that you know need to hear this and can benefit from this content. Thank you so much for supporting the channels, for subscribing to our YouTube channel, and for also liking the video and also following us on Instagram. Thank you, everyone, for your beautiful presences. I cannot wait for the unfolding of this, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.